Hey guys, welcome back to Imperfect Cook. So today we're gonna be taking on one of my favorite side dishes to have with a lot of healthier meals. This is asparagus. So a lot of times people are kind of afraid of cooking asparagus because they're not really sure how to do it. It does look daunting how to cook these and make these correctly and make them delicious as well. My son, who's 1.5 years, loves asparagus, as well as my husband, who really doesn't like anything green and vegetable-like. So I will show you 2 of my favorite ways to prepare asparagus that gets both of my boys, the big adult one and the little one, to eat vegetables. So let's go. Okay people, so before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button so I know you enjoy this video and I know you want to see more about how to cook vegetables and things like that to try and get your family to eat it. Alright, so asparagus, first off, I went ahead and I got these from the store. When you're looking at asparagus in the store and trying to figure out which ones to buy, you want to look for good stalks. So good stalks is obviously all of the little fluffy heads, I guess, are on them up top here. Nice, you see these little like kind of leaves coming off them, the purple little leaves coming off them, you want to see that. But then you also want to see a change in color from that green to the light. Now you don't want green to light here, you want it to fade nicely down the whole stalk. These are also, I mean, I'm going to go with a smaller stalk. They do have versions of asparagus where the stalk is huge, like super thick. You can use those, they are just as good as these. They're just gonna take a little bit longer to cook than these will. So just keep that in mind when you're buying your asparagus. So I'm gonna start off with trimming the asparagus, okay? So I've seen people do this more than one way. Definitely is more than one way to do this. So first off, one way I've seen people do is they take the asparagus and they just go like that. Okay, that works just fine. I've done it I've done it before because I've time, just you need to get it done, that's fine, whatever. And why do we do that? We do that because at the end here, it's gonna get stringy, it's gonna get tough, so I break off the ends to make sure that we don't feed that to our kids because they're not gonna want the stringy, tough stuff. So make sure to get the ends off, either by snapping, or the other way you can do it. This is kind of the fancy way, and I just picked up the biggest stalk I could find, didn't I? So this is kind of like a slightly fancier way of doing it. Take your knife, right? Be careful when using a knife. Do not cut yourself or other people around you. It's rude. Just don't do it. So take the knife at kind of an angle here. We're not going to come straight on at it. We're going to come at it like an angle. And you're going to start at the back of the knife here. And you're just going to roll the asparagus. See how it's rolling? You're going to roll the asparagus until it pops off. And like I said, I grabbed the biggest freaking stalk I could find. Oh, right there. Like that. Okay? Now when I do that, notice I get a nice slanted cut. That is a huge stalk for me. I normally do not go for the massive stalks because, like I said, I don't want to take forever cooking them, but that is a massive stalk in that one. But see how it cut at an angle, and it just kind of is a little fancier way to cut. I'm gonna go ahead and continue and cut all of these stalks off. Okay, now that I cut them, I'm gonna take all of these and just put them, you can put them into your compost, you can, I don't know, throw them in the trash, you can throw them in the woods. I don't know if I suggest throwing them in the woods though, because that could attract animals you don't want. Now that those are all trimmed off, what I will do is I'll run these under water really quick just to rinse them really well. You can use a colander or you can just, good old, keep them in your hand, rinse them, whatever. Rinsed asparagus, there you go. Okay, stay. Next question you may have is, why is there a lemon on your board? So a lemon is for one of the flavors. So I'm gonna do one that's a very basic oil, salt, pepper, spice kind of mixture, and then I'm gonna do one with a splash of lemon. So I like to do lemon, it just brightens it up, it makes it a nice lighter. It goes really well when you have asparagus and a pasta dish, like a light pasta dish, not like a red sauce dish. This is good with a wine sauce dish, like a piccata, or with an oil, if you just do like an oil kind of sauce with it. The other night we did a butter and garlic pasta with ravioli. This would have been fabulous with it. The lemon asparagus would have been fabulous with that. I'm gonna go ahead and cut this actually in half. Yet again, we're using a knife. Be smart, people. Be careful. Tuck your fingers. Watch so you don't cut anything else off. That'd be bad. I'm gonna put those over there, okay? Okay, so over here at the pan, and it's nice and hot and warmed up, so I'm not touching that because it'll burn. So, there's two different ways to, I'm gonna go with the word grease the pan, right? So we can either use butter, which I have right here, or we can use olive oil, which I have right here. It's up to you. 99% of the time I use olive oil. Butter works just as well, okay? So it's up to you. I'm gonna take the oil, drizzle it around the pan a little bit. So this is normally about 1 tablespoon is what I put in. I go ahead and put a slight sprinkling of salt in the bottom of the pan. That is, if there's any water, excess water or anything like that can cause the popping from the oil. So I put a little bit of salt in there to kind of absorb whatever water might be in there. Just don't pour any water in there, you'll get a lot of popping. I'm gonna take about half of the asparagus that we had, and I just realized this is a really small pan. That's how that works. So some of them will fit, some of them won't. Take that one off. This is a very small pan. I like this pan. It's cute. This is very small. But you hear that sizzling? That is the water that is still on top of the asparagus. Look at that. Let's cut these smaller. The one thing you also want to think about is how crispy do you want your asparagus as well. You can make it crispy and crunchy, so you just kind of cook it until it's nicely warm. And then you can cook it until it's nice and, use the word limp. See, that's not limp. That's not flopping over. You can cook them until they're nice and limp. So it just depends on what you like. If you like the squishy kind or if you like the crispy kind. So I'm going to go a little bit more of a crisp on it. I do like to see them limp a little bit. So I'm going to keep cooking it. This needs a little bit more to do this, like I said. Because when I pick it up, it still stays straight. So that's not limp like I want it to do. Anyway, while this is cooking, I'm going to add just a little bit more salt sprinkled on top. See that? And I'm also going to add pepper. So this is just the plain olive oil, salt, and pepper version, which I really love. Just a little bit of spice in there. Yeah. What I do is while it's cooking, I just kind of give it a little shake like that. It gets them moving around, rotate them a little bit. It also moves the herbs, the salt and pepper that I just put in there, and it'll get it into the oil, so then it'll stick to the asparagus hopefully. So just kind of move things around and get them cooking all over the place. You can also, if you see one side's cooking a little too much, just flip them over. It's fine. That big stock's going to take forever. Alright, so I've just been kind of flipping them over because you can see they're getting brown on one side. Just still giving them a little shake here and there. They're getting limper, which is what I want to see, because if you notice, they're starting to bend into the pan. So I'm just going to let them cook. I keep flipping them over, but then I flip back to their other side. You're cooked on that side, quit it. So this is actually about where I want them to be, okay? So notice how they kind of, like that one's like super lumpier than usual, which is on the end cooking. But notice how they do arch over, but they're not completely limp. So that's about what I want for these. So I'm going to take these off the pan, and now I'm going to go ahead and clean the pan so we can start the other flavor. So for this round, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take butter. I'm going to use butter in the pan instead of oil. So I'm just going to take, see that chunk right there? About that big of a chunk. And put it in my already warmed pan. Do not reach over here. Thank you. No reaching. Thank you. I'm going to take my butter, put it in the pan, swish it around, get a nice layer of that beautiful melted butter. Look at that. So same as I did with the oil, I'm just going to put a small pinch of salt in the pan. In the pan to absorb any water that might be in there. And since this asparagus has been kind of sitting there for a second, it'll have less water than the first batch did. So let's go ahead and put those in. This is a lot more than the other batch. So I think I'm gonna have to break this into 2 bunches, maybe. All right, so I have the salt and I have the butter, and now we're gonna add some pepper, just a light drizzle of pepper on this one. Tyler. Oh geez, you got the bowl? Okay. Are you gonna mix in the bowl? Yep. He's got a whisk and the bowl he wants to mix. So now I'm going to take one of those halves of lemon that we cut earlier and I'm going to drizzle it over the asparagus. And I do use a, I don't know, is this called a sifter? I use this right here to catch any of the seeds that might come up, any of the, really butt? Any of the chunks of lemon that might come out, so it's just the liquid coming out. So with this, if you have a pan that has a lid, that's also a good idea. You can put the lid on and then it'll cook it a little bit faster because then it's cooking from top and bottom rather than this one where it's gonna just like seep out the top. So I'm gonna leave that there, let that cook. So now as they cook, like I said, we just kind of give them a little swishy, or we can also just turn them over completely if they stay that way. Mine like to apparently roll back. This lemon butter mixture we have going on in the pan right now is also good for if you're making the asparagus. You can put a little bit of white wine in there and put a little bit more seasoning, whatever seasoning you want, and then just drizzle it over a pasta. Absolutely delicious. Ooh, with some spinach in it. That'd be delicious too. So that's also very good for multiple uses with that nice little butter mixture in the bottom there, lemon butter. Now with this mixture of lemon, salt, and pepper, you're going to see the discoloration happening in the asparagus, which is just fine. It just is from the lemon. So now we're gonna take this one off. Ooh. See how they're like slightly limp. They're not falling over completely, but that's what I like because that means it has a little bit more crunch to it. And I'm gonna put this into a bowl. There you go. That is 2 different ways to cook asparagus in a just plain, simple way. Very quick, very easy. These are definitely 2 different flavors that your family will eat and enjoy. So that's also a bonus. But that's what I have for you today. Have a good one.